Hello everyone, and welcome to Retro Brick Reviews, where today I just sort of have an unscripted thing I want to talk about. That thing being the fact that today is the 20th anniversary of the release of Sonic Adventure for the Sega Dreamcast in Japan. That's right, on December 23rd, 1998, this game first graced Japanese audiences just 2 days before Christmas. And of course, it would later see release in the United States on September 9th of 1999, and in Europe later that year. And in this video, I'm just sort of going to be talking about how this game has sort of impacted me as a fan of the franchise, as well as just some of my basic opinions on it. So yeah, you can consider this to be a review of the game if you want, but I don't know. So, firstly, how did this game affect me as a fan of the franchise? Now, it should be noted that I did not grow up with Sonic Adventure. When I first was into the series when I was younger, I had Sonic Heroes and Sonic Unleashed for PS2, the Sonic Mega Collection, and I also had Sonic Unleashed for the Wii, and I never really got into any of them. The Mega Collection, I never really played much into any of the games, because, when you're a kid, you see a bunch of different options, and your thought isn't really play each one to completion. Your thought is more just, oh, let's just play a little bit of each of these. So yeah, Sonic Heroes I played a lot of, but I never beat any of the stories as any of the teams, so I never actually beat the game, or again, never even beat a single story. And then with Sonic Unleashed, I got maybe a third of the way through on the Wii, and I barely played it on the PS2. The PS2 version wasn't very good. But yeah, and then I got out of Sonic for quite a while. In fact, I don't think I thought about the Blue Rodent a single time for years until June of 2016, when it was announced that Sonic the Hedgehog would be appearing in LEGO Dimensions. And I sort of wanted to learn more about the series, because, I'm getting the Dimensions set. I had all of the Dimensions sets at that point, or, well, most of them. I had all of the worlds unlocked, so I had at least one from each franchise, and there were a few that I didn't have, like I didn't have all of the Lord of the Rings packs, for example, but anyway, so I decided to learn more about the series, and I figured that the best way to do that was to get a game. And what game to get caught up on all of your Sonic lore than the game that celebrated 20 years of Sonic lore? So in 2016, I picked myself up a used copy of Sonic Generations, and it told me absolutely nothing. In fact, it really made me reconsider wanting to learn more about the series, because, sure, the game was, it was kind of fun, bit repetitive, though, and classic Sonic was just not that good, but, modern Sonic was alright. But the game had, no story. I didn't really understand what was going on. There were way too many city levels. I just wasn't a fan. I'm not really a fan of Generations. And I also dabbled a bit more in the Mega Collection. Got the mobile port of Sonic 1. But that's about it. Or at least it was. Until one day I was on the Xbox Live arcade shop, whatever you want to call it, where you can where you can buy and download your games, and I saw that for a steep $5, I could download Sonic Adventure. So I did, thinking, I'm probably not going to beat this since I did do a bit more looking into the games in the series, and I heard that the Sonic Adventure wasn't that good, or more accurately, that it was pretty good for the time, but now it's pretty dated and other games in the series are a lot better. So then I played into Sonic Adventure, planning to play for an hour, and then go from there, and I loved it. I played it for 6 hours that first day, went back and played it as much as I could for the next few weeks, beat the whole game in maybe a week and a half, playing off and on. After the first 2 days, I kind of didn't play as much, but yeah. And over the next 2 months, I would play the game relentlessly, eventually getting the 130th emblem in mid-June of 2017. Then I downloaded the DX DLC, and I beat that in maybe a week, I don't know. And yeah, and I really enjoyed Adventure. It was a pretty fun game. Definitely tided me over for Sonic for a while. I didn't really go back to any other games in the series for a few months after that, aside from also picking up the mobile ports of Sonic CD and Sonic 2. But yeah, and then after that, at the end of that year, I got Sonic Adventure 2. I've been working my way through it off and on, very off and on, for the past year. And I'm nearly complete at this point. At this point in time when I'm recording this, I have all of the emblems, except I still need to A-rank all the missions for Sonic's Final Rush. And I also need to do all the Chao Karate stuff, which requires DLC that I just haven't bought yet. I also played Sonic Unleashed to completion, which, despite its poor reputation, I loved. And when I say completion, I don't mean 100% completion, like I didn't get all the medals. I just mean that I beat the story mode, which was quite a feat in itself. It's a long game. And yeah, and then to this point, that's kind of it with my relationship with Sonic. Oh shoot, I forgot, Sonic Mania. Yeah, I got that. It's pretty good. I mean, looking back, I think people might have overreacted a little in 2017, simply because it was kind of the first good Sonic thing since Sonic Unleashed. Or, well, really, I guess, since a lot of people don't like that, the first good Sonic thing since, Sonic Heroes. No offense to Sonic Generations, again, just that I'm not a big fan of it, and I kind of despise these Lost World and Colors. They're just awful. So yeah, oh, and also Sonic Forces was bland. So yeah, so that's sort of how Sonic Adventure got me into the series. Because if not for Sonic Adventure, I wouldn't have done any of that. I would have just given up right then and there. I would have gotten the LEGO Dimensions pack, but I wouldn't have really gone that far from there. I would have played through it, gotten all the gold bricks and mini kits, and then I would have been done. But Sonic Adventure saved my relationship with the Blue Blur, and really, I'll be honest, it's probably my favorite video game. But enough gushing about how it changed my perception of the series. Let's talk about it in itself. And yeah, as I just said, Sonic Adventure is one of, if not my favorite game I've ever played. Definitely up there with the greats. And yeah, I know that it technically has a lot of problems, it apparently has a lot of glitches, even though I never found a single one when I played through it to completion. And when I decided to go back just for fun and try a few of them out, I couldn't get a single glitch to work. Aside from how if you run backwards on that double loop in Emerald Coast, you'll fall into the water and die, but oh whoop-de-doo, if you stop running in an area where you're obviously supposed to run, the game goofs up. Truly, what a broken mess. But yeah, so yeah, and also a lot of people complain about the presentation, but honestly, that just makes it more enjoyable for me, because the game is very charming. Even if you don't really like a lot of things about it, you have to admit that at the very least, it's charming. More the Dreamcast version than the GameCube, but still. I love the voice acting, the music is fantastic, and yeah. But enough about that. Yeah, let's just start talking about the game itself. So I'll just do a quick overview of my opinions on all 6 stories. Sonic's is the longest story. It took me about 3 days of on and off playing to complete, and it is pretty fun. And it's not my favorite story or style, but it is very well done. I think the narrative is a bit simpler than with the other stories, but I get that they didn't want to give Sonic any development. Change the character, change the brand. So that makes sense. Yeah, it was pretty fun. If I had to pick out a couple of my favorite levels from Sonic's campaign, they would be, I really liked Emerald Coast. I'm a huge fan of Windy Valley, which is a surprisingly underrated level, but I really love it. Casinopolis was weird, but I think it was kind of I like the idea of collecting a bunch of rings to beat the stage. and seeing what you could call the return of Sonic Spinball was pretty fantastic. I really like the snowboarding section of Ice Cap. I think Twinkle Park is another stage that gets often that is really good that a lot of people don't seem to think of that way. Speed Highway is honestly one that, I mean, I've never been the biggest fan of. It's probably one of the less interesting Sonic stages in my opinion, and it kind of baffles me that it was the one brought back from Generations, a game that already had like 4 other city stages, so that was just a bit odd in my opinion. But anyway, and I know I said that this was just me talking about my favorites, but this is just my opinions on all the stages. Red Mountain is probably my least favorite Sonic stage. Simply put, well, aside from Lost World, but of the stages that aren't complete garbage, it's my least favorite. Less because of the stage itself, it's not that bad, but more because, as if you want to speedrun this level, you have to look up a walkthrough, because I could not get my time below, like, 5 minutes before I looked up a walkthrough to find an insane amount of shortcuts. So that was just a bit odd. Skydeck is a level a lot of people seem to hate, but honestly I'm just kind of indifferent to. Lost World is garbage. It was clearly not designed to be a Sonic level, so why do you play through it as Sonic? It is slow and boring and puzzly like an Amy or Knuckles stage, and yeah, well, we do play through it as Knuckles, and that works pretty well. Seriously, why is Sonic here? I mean, yeah, I get it, he's the main character and he needs to see the Chaos mural at the end, but this feels so much more like it was meant to be an Amy stage than a Sonic one. I mean, like, the snake puzzle is just awful, the puzzle room at the end I hate, and the boulder chase, like, this is... I mean, I know I said I didn't run into any glitches before, but this is the one exception, and I don't know if this is a glitch or just me being bad at the game, but there has not been a single time when I have played the boulder chase section and I have not gotten hit by the boulder. And then Final Egg is just kind of mediocre, I guess. And then none of the boss fights are very, very memorable, aside from the, not a big fan of the Egg Viper. Or more accurately, I do like it, it's just that, it was a bit difficult. I mean, and I know that shouldn't really be a complaint for a final boss, but, like, it was so much more difficult than every other boss in the game that I actually got a game over on it, just because I wasn't expecting the absolute joke that was Chaos 6 to be followed up by this absolute, I don't know, beast? I mean, beast isn't really the right word, especially when being compared to an actual beast, but I don't know, it was pretty hard. Good fight, though. Not a big fan of the suicide move, but it's a tactic that I think befits the character of Eggman, or Robotnik. Although I guess technically this game is when they started calling him Eggman, so I guess it is more accurate of a title. Anyway, moving off of Sonic, Tails is my favorite campaign in the game. I love how he plays just like Sonic, but he can fly. You know, just like Sonic 3, and it works really well here. And I know that his stages are just Sonic stages, but shorter. But honestly, I really like it. It's like you're playing through the stages again, but in God mode, which is fun. I mean, overall, his story doesn't really pick up at all, aside from a little flashback, until the end, when Sonic is gone, and Tails lands in Station Square, and Robotnik sends Nuke towards the city that he's in. Like, he doesn't even care at this point. Robotnik is totally willing to die to destroy Station Square, which is fantastic. I love that. But then, of course, the missile is a dud, because, I mean, we can't have a horrible nuclear disaster in a Sonic game, now can we? And then, of course, you race to the missile, you defuse the missile, and then, hey, Tails listens to his own theme song and he decides to believe in himself. And with that, he's able to defeat the Doctor. And it's a pretty good scene. Also, just a thing, didn't really mention the musical themes, but Sonic's theme, It Doesn't Matter, is really good. I really like It Doesn't Matter. I actually, kind of an unpopular opinion, but I like it way more than the SA2 version. I actually don't really like the SA2 version of It Doesn't Matter. I don't know, it seems a bit too fast to me, and while it might seem a bit odd to complain about a Sonic theme being too fast, I feel as though the slower adventure version really helps to capture more of the, sort of laid-back attitude of Sonic, which I think with what the song was going for is more important with the lyrics than, being the fastest thing alive. Tails' theme, though, Believe in Myself, I absolutely adore in its adventure version, and I absolutely despise in Adventure 2. I mean, I really like the idea of how Tails' arc is less about him being a hero to start with, and more about how he's just the sidekick, but he wants to be the hero. And when he starts to believe that he can be the hero, that's when he is the hero. I mean, it's pretty simple stuff, but, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, considering how this was one of the first video games to have, fully voice-acted and animated cutscenes acting out an epic story, it's pretty good. Oh, and then for Tails' stages, the first one was Windy Valley, which was pretty good. I like it about as much as the Sonic level, still one of my favorites. Casinopolis was weird because it took out the really good pinball sections and just left you with the kind of lame junkyard bit, which I wasn't a big fan of. Ice Cap is fun. It's just the snowboarding section, which is pretty good since that's the section of Ice Cap we all like. Then Skydeck cut out the annoying bits, so that's actually pretty fun. I actually really like Tails' Skydeck. And then, shoot, what's it? Speed Highway, don't know how I forgot that, is also pretty good. I really like all of Tails' stages in Adventure. And also, didn't really mention the sub-games so far, but Tails' Sand Hill is just the snowboarding section of Ice Cap again, which is fine by me. It's really fun. Sky Chase 1 and 2, I'm not a fan of, although I think it fits better in Tails' story than Sonic's. Less because of, it fits with the gameplay, but more because, Tails is flying the plane, so it makes sense. I feel as though, it would have been extra work, but I think that for Sonic's story, they probably could have done something different with it. Maybe had it be like in Sonic 2, where you're Sonic standing on the plane, and maybe you could attack enemies while on the plane, but then the plane will always go out to catch you. Then again, that could be pretty difficult and annoying to recreate in 1998 on the Dreamcast, so I can get why they didn't do it. It just seems a bit lame to me. Anyway, moving on to the next story, it's Knuckles the Enchilada, who is... he's boring. I barely remember anything about his story. You could say that other characters like Big and Amy are worse in the game, but Knuckles is probably my least favorite, simply because I barely remember it. Let me try to recall. So his story is just get the Master Emerald shards, and that's it. I think he got tricked by Eggman once or twice or 62 times. I think he might have fought Chaos 4 again. I don't really care about Chaos 4. I know a lot of people really hate Chaos 4, and yeah, well, I'll admit that it is annoying that you have to fight this boss, 3 times, and he is one of the lesser bosses in the game. He's not that bad. And again, once you beat him as Knuckles, you never have to fight this guy ever again, except for the boss rush. Which I'm pretty sure is mandatory, but I'm not sure. Anyway... So yeah, but let me think. So you go to Speed Highway, and it's not Speed Highway, that's a lie. It's it's the Town Hall section, which is... It's alright. And I might be getting these out of order, but you go to Casinopolis, and it's boring. Although you do get to destroy the Sonic statue, so that's always fun. There's Red Mountain, which is boring. Skydeck, which is just atrocious. And then Lost World, which is... it's Lost World, and I got those last two wrong. It's Lost World, then Skydeck. Both are awful. Hate those last 2 levels for Knuckles, and the other 3 are meh. So yeah, I really like the idea of the treasure hunting mechanic, but even though the radar does work better here, I will say that the levels overall were much better done in Adventure 2. Honestly, I really like all of the Knuckles stages in Adventure 2, and again, the only one here that I think is alright, better than mediocre, that's kind of good, is Casinopolis. Just because that one actually is just a big round open room, so it kind of makes sense. But it's not too enormous that it's impossible to get around. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, moving on to Amy's story. I'm actually a big fan of Amy in Adventure. I don't know why. Maybe it's because her story is very closely linked with my favorite character in the game, and one of my favorite in the series, E102 Gamma, but more on him later. So Amy's story is just about her coming into contact with this birdie, which is wanted by Eggman because it has a Chaos Emerald, so she's chased around by E100 Zero. She gets chased, gets captured, saves herself. I mean, for 1998... I mean, considering how Amy is just a girl Sonic whose only character trait is that she's in love with the main character and is really weak and slow, I mean, I guess it's pretty cool that she rescues herself, even though it's less by some sort of epic action and more just by her asking E102 Gamma to and him just feeling like it. Although it does make more sense in his story, but here it just seems kind of out of left field. But anyway, she escapes, goes back with Tails. She goes to infiltrate the final egg with Birdie for some reason. They do, then they go out, then they go to the egg carrier. Amy defeats Zero, all the flickies fly off, it's okay. Yeah. Honestly, the story's not too good, it's just that I always link it with E102 Gamma's story, which is so beautiful that I always like Amy's story by association. Surprisingly, Amy only gets 3 levels, making her the least used character in the game. Although, I mean, again, she's the girl, so I guess that makes sense. She's just the token girl. There aren't girl gamers anyway. So yeah, I mean, like, first off, you get more levels as Big the Cat than as Amy, and considering that Amy actually has importance in the story, the B-plot, and was kind of the second most important character of Adventure 2 behind Shadow... I mean, I know that didn't happen yet, but still, it feels odd to only get 3 levels as Amy. Her first level is Twinkle Park, which is actually really fun. I love Amy's Twinkle Park. Second level is the Hot Shelter, which I really like. I really like Amy's Hot Shelter. Third level is the Final Egg, which is also really good. Like a lot of people give Amy's story flack, but I actually really like it. I like all the level designs, and I think it's a lot like the Werehog, where if you go into this expecting some epic high-speed action, you're going to be disappointed. But if you know what you're getting yourself into, and you're prepared for some slow, puzzly platforming like what you might get out of, say, a Lego game, you're going to have a lot of fun, which I think is pretty neat. So yeah, that's really all I have to say with Amy aside from the themes, and again, I forgot to talk about Knuckles' theme. Knuckles' theme, unknown for me, is meme gold, but you know this. Amy's theme is probably my least favorite of the game, to be completely honest. I don't know, it's oddly sensual, whatever, however you pronounce it, you know what I mean. And it's also, I don't know, I just don't like it, it kind of fits the character of Amy, but at the same time it doesn't very well, and I just don't like it. Next character is E102 Gamma, although actually no, we'll make the next character Big and we'll save the best for last. Big the Cat, as we all know, is a fantastic meme, and while a lot of you might hate him, and I get why you hate him, because no one wants to go fishing in a Sonic game, okay, and well, sure, that is a bit odd. I actually don't really mind the character of Big. I kind of think of him as just, your big dummy comic relief. Kind of like your, I don't know, like Tow Mater in Pixar's Cars, that kind of character. I don't know. Don't really mind Big. His story is just, I must save Froggy! So then you have to go through a bunch of levels to save your Pollywog pal. Eventually you fish him out of chaos, and that's a thing. I mean, not much to his story, but I kind of think the character is just kind of inherently funny for some reason, because he's so dumb, and the game knows it. Like, the game fully knows how bad Big is, and how he... Like, I mean, even back in 2003, like, when they made the DX port of the game, they already knew that Big the Cat was a meme before memes even existed. I mean, in the DX credits, one of the pictures is literally of Big standing next to 2 bikini-clad women at the hotel pool, and I mean, come on. come on. This was not meant to be taken seriously. You're all overreacting. Big Story is just supposed to be some fun, lighthearted garbage. Which it is, because, fishing. And I mean, honestly, though, the fishing mechanic isn't that bad. Once you figure out how it works in Twinkle Park, you're gonna be fine. Although, I would definitely recommend trying to get the first one or two. Don't remember if you can get two first, but at the very least, the first lure upgrade before you go into Twinkle Park. Otherwise, it's going to be basically impossible. But yeah, and of course, as you go through, you can collect more lures, which makes it much easier, so by the end, it should take, a minute to catch Froggy. Probably not even. It should be super easy by the end. The levels actually get easier as they go on, just because as you get better lures, it becomes easier to attract and catch Froggy. But yeah, it's alright. Twinkle Park is just a square pool, which is alright. Ice Cap is my least favorite because you have such a small area to get your hook into, which is annoying. Emerald Coast is probably my favorite big level in terms of the pool design. Just because, it's not really a pool. You have this whole river, which I think is cool. However, my favorite for it level is definitely Hot Shelter, Big's last level, because, it's the only real time when we get to do any actual high-speed platforming as Big. And yes, Big is actually faster than Amy, if you don't know, which is just incredible. Or maybe he's not. I remember him being faster than Amy, but that might just be because of the absolute mass of Big. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I like that section. The pool itself is alright. Apparently, Big's Hot Shelter was supposed to be way longer. There's a way to go through a hole in the wall and access a ton of extra level that just goes completely unused, which is pretty crazy to me. So yeah, that's Big, and the last character... Oh, and also Big's theme is pretty good. It is pretty good. It's surprisingly good for Big the Cat's theme song. And it's weird how one of the people singing is Froggy, because of course, Froggy doesn't have a voice. He's just a frog, probably not even sentient, I don't know. But anyway, the final and best character is... You all know it, even if you don't want to admit it, E102 Gamma. Absolute perfection. Gamma's story is by far the most complicated in Adventure. So, let's start from the beginning, which is also Gamma's beginning, when he's first brought online by Eggman, goes through some trials, and then he has to face his brother, E101 Beta, in battle to determine who becomes the head of the Egg Carrier crew. Or, well, not the head, but who gets to join the Egg Carrier crew and who just gets dismantled for scrap. Of course, Gamma wins, despite being less advanced than Beta. Even though Beta came first, you'd think Gamma would be better, but anyway. So Eggman dismantles Beta, or, well, at least he gets taken away and you think that's what's happening, and you get promoted to Egg Carrier crew. Your first mission is to find Froggy. So you go to Emerald Coast and you steal him from Big right after Big catches him, which is why Big has to go aboard the Egg Carrier later in his story. So you go there, and then you see that Zero has captured Amy, and you're ordered to go to her cell in order to, take Birdie from her because Birdie has the emerald. But on the way, you accidentally stumble into a room where you can see Beta being tortured and dismantled and rebuilt to be a stronger robot, which is, a bit off-putting. But then you go to the cell, and something inside Gamma begins to awaken. Some sort of emotion, perhaps? As he decides to let Amy free, because, I don't know, I guess the power of love and stuff. It doesn't make all the sense, but it's still pretty good. So then Gamma lets Amy go. He also doesn't destroy Sonic in the end when Robotnik ordered him to. And then Gamma erases Robotnik as his master and goes off on a new mission to free all the E-Series robots by blowing them up. And yeah, this does sound pretty trite at first, until you remember that in the Sonic series, at least through SA2, all of Robotnik's robots had animals inside of them, so he actually is setting them free by setting the animal hosts free. So you do that for a while until you get to the egg carrier, where after destroying E-105, you have one final confrontation, when Gamma realizes in an actually pretty well-performed and almost heartbreaking scene, where he realizes there are only 2 left, and that to complete his mission, 2 more E-Series robots that have to be destroyed. E-101 Beta and E-102 Gamma. And I just want to comment, I absolutely love this scene, because after he sees an image of himself flash in his mind, he just looks, I mean, he doesn't have a face, really, aside from a couple of lights, but he looks shocked for a moment. He just goes rigid before slowly just lifting his hand up to look at it, and then saying his name. I don't know, it's just I think it's very well done. Then he goes off to face Beta. He wins, but then, with one final burst of energy before he's destroyed, Beta performs a fatal shot upon Gamma, which leads to his eventual deactivation and destruction. But of course, it is sad at first. It's kind of bittersweet, because of course this does mean that while the intelligence that was E-102 Gamma is dead, the bird inside of him does get to live on and be with its family, as it was related to Birdie from Amy's story. So yeah, that's a thing. And yeah, that was Gamma's story, and one more thing I do want to mention, Gamma's theme, which is the only non-lyrical theme in the game, and it's also pretty, I mean, it's called Theme of E-102 Gamma. A lot of effort put into that, and I guess it's not technically a non-lyrical theme, as in addition to just having a lot of good stuff to it, and I really like the instrumentation, it does have repeated several times throughout the song the phrase, "It's my pleasure, ready to die," which I think works really well for Gamma. It kind of encapsulates his character, I suppose. I don't know, I think it works really well for him. And, yeah, sort of encapsulates the hopelessness of how he's just one of Eggman's many robots, and how his only purpose is to serve and probably be destroyed at some point with no remorse ever held for him. Kinda sad stuff. But yeah, but of course, after you beat all 6 stories, a 7th unlocks. And throughout each story, you've gotten little snippets of an Echidna character known as Tikal, showing you blasts from the past, with a battle brewing between the warmongering Echidna tribe, the Knuckles tribe, led by, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Pakamic, whatever his name is, that guy, yeah, him, and he wants to attack the peaceful little adorable Chao in order to steal the 7 Chaos Emeralds and the Master Emerald. Tikal tries to stop them, but yeah. Flash forward to the last story, or well, again, all that sort of was happening throughout the other 6 stories, but in the last story, we see that Chaos is not dead after his defeat on the egg carrier, as he steals all 7 emeralds from our heroes, and then goes to Station Square to become Perfect Chaos. Meanwhile, Sonic gets a flashback from Tikal, who brings him into the past, so he can see sort of the full events of the battle, where of course, the Echidna tribe absolutely massacre the little Chao, as well as injuring Tikal because she was trying to help them. But then, in an actually pretty epic scene, Chaos rises up from the water and smites the chief, before, just turning into a big ball of light and I guess killing everyone, except Tikal for some reason, who is still alive, and goes up to perform the now iconic chant that I don't remember all of, but we all remember the line, "Chaos is power enriched by the heart, the servers are the 7 chaos, the controller is the one who unifies the chaos," stuff like that. We remember. So yeah, so we see that, and Tikal seals herself and Chaos inside of the Master Emerald, until, of course, the events of Sonic Adventure. Then Sonic goes on to the city, and if he's not dreaming, that monster is a real menace. Then Tikal pops up, Sonic knows her name for some reason, and she's like, oh, you gotta seal him in the Master Emerald. And Sonic's like, no, you stupid idiot. Well, what choice do we have? And then Sonic, in a fit of odd but also kind of fitting for some reason eloquence, I don't know, like if this came from any other voice actor, it wouldn't really have worked. Like even with the actually eloquent Jason Griffith, I don't think it would have come off too well, but for some reason, Ryan Drummond does a very good job at basically saying, oh, well, I mean, if we do that, he'll just be trapped forever in endless turmoil and stuff. It won't change anything. No, I've got to open his heart. And then, of course, you harness the light power of the Chaos Emeralds, and with some encouragement from Tails, Amy, a bit from Nurples, and then also, you know, the entirety of Station Square and some pretty fantastically bad, like Spider-Man, the movie bad line readings. Well, not, you know, the whole movie wasn't bad. I mean, just the extras in the background were pretty great. But anyway, you turn into Supersonic, you open his heart, thunder, rain and lightning, danger, water rising. Gotta open his heart, dude. You do. You win, of course. I mean, the fight's not that difficult. You're invincible. The only thing that can stop you is running out of rings, and I mean, come on. Come on. You've been playing this game for a while at this point. You know what's up. You know how to not run out of rings. You gotta go fast. You gotta go fast. You go fast. You beat him. Bam. Then in the end, Tikal and Chaos ascend peacefully. Sonic runs off to fight the Doctor another day. Roll credits. Yeah, pretty good stuff. Those are all the stories. They're pretty good. One last thing to mention is you have a couple other modes. Each level has 3 missions. Mission A is beat the level normally. Mission 2 is beat it with 50 rings, which is literally the easiest thing ever, and you are the only level where this is ever going to be a tiny bit difficult is the Sonic's Casinopolis. And it's not difficult, it's just that you have to remember to get 50 rings, because of course to beat the level, you have to lose all of your rings and put them into the vault. So you just have to remember after that to go back and get 50 rings, and that is the only mission of any of the 50 rings that I did not beat first try, simply because I kind of just forgot. But yeah, and then the time limit varies, like, and I think the 50 rings might be different for the Knuckles levels, but anyway, time limit, it was difficult on a few of the Sonic levels, difficult on the Knuckles levels until you realize that you can just find one emerald, restart the level, and find all 3 emeralds and then restart the level knowing where they all are, and then get them really quickly. Wasn't difficult on any of the Tails or Amy levels. Wasn't really difficult on the big levels were just based on catching fish in addition to Froggy, which was fine. And then in E102's story, the only hard level for the time limit was Hot Shelter, but it still wasn't too difficult. But yeah, the last thing to really talk about is the Chao Garden, which was pretty fun. I'm not really going to describe the Chao Garden because we don't have all day, but it's pretty good. And then there's Mission Mode, which was introduced with DX and was therefore only part of the DX DLC in the current re-releases, but I mean, it's alright. Only adds a few days of stuff to the game, but it's pretty good. In the original GameCube version, beating the missions would unlock Game Gear games, which was cool. Doesn't do that anymore, which is sad. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about Adventure. It's a good game. If you've never played it, I would definitely recommend you do. Even if you're not a big fan of the Sonic series, I would recommend you get it because it could very well turn you into one. And even if it doesn't and you don't want to be some horrid, rabid Sonic fan, I mean, the game will it'll be a fun time. And really, isn't that what we all want from a video game? So yeah, that's really all I have to say here. It's a good game. I love it. It's what really brought me into the fold of this franchise, for better or worse. Yeah, it was happening. So, and just thank you all so much for watching this video. I honestly really hope that this uploads while it is still December 23rd, because I'm recording this really late. Like, I probably should have had this recorded on the 22nd and then just uploaded it today, but I've been very busy and I did not do that. So now I'm just gonna upload it now and hope that it gets here before Christmas Eve, because, I mean, come on, this'll just be really embarrassing if that happens. So yeah, to conclude, thank you all so much for watching.